didn't know it was muted.
I don't know if there's an unmute button. I think she's talking to her.
Okay,
At the
sorry,
soundboard.
I misunderstood. All right, today is Monday, January 9th. Let's call this regular Oscoda Township Board meeting to order at our new time of 6:34. And I would just make note, Mr. Cummings is coming, but he'll be here a couple minutes late. So we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Where's the flag?
Whoa. What do you
Hey,
do with
wait a
flag?
minute.
Is it behind the stage?
You took it away?
Hold that thought.
That way.
No, we can't help.
I can't help. There's no holder.
Is it back there, Jimmy?
I don't see it.
Oh, wow. Not over there?
Where did the flag go?
You don't see it over there, Mr. Palmer?
No, it's
No.
Christmas decoration.
Huh? Got it. Don't hit the, I was
Yeah.
gonna say, don't hit the ceiling fan.
It's like a merchant.
There it is.
The only thing I forgot.
Why, thank you, sir.
Okay, now we'll start.
I pledge
Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
All right, I believe we have one agenda addition tonight for, or is that
Yes.
this one? Okay.
Yep.
And that is what?
C2, R2, it's the first reimbursement.
Okay, so you want that under consent agenda, finance, K?
Yeah. Yes.
C2R2?
Yep.
Okay. All right, anything else? All right, with that, I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Support?
Okay, there's a motion by Ms. Richards, support by Mr. Sutton to approve the agenda with that one addition. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Ms. Richards?
Yes, motion carried. All right, we're in the first public comment section of our agenda. We have two public comment sections. The first public comment section is reserved for agenda items only. Both comment sections are limited to 4 minutes. Do we have any comment cards for the first agenda?
No,
Or
I do
first
not.
comment?
No.
No? Okay.
Can you hear me?
I mean, I can hear you, but I don't hear like the microphone, so I don't know if that's different now with these new microphones or not, so.
I don't hear you.
I can't hear me, that's what.
Okay.
Normally I can.
All right. So maybe just talk like louder and if it picks
Okay.
up then. Okay. All right, and I apologize, I'm just gonna read the text from Mr. Cummings to see what if he's on his way or not. Okay, he is on his way, so. He forgot that we voted to change the meeting time, so. All right, so moving on then to the consent agenda. First, we have the approval of the meeting minutes from our regular meeting, which seems like a lifetime ago, but December 12th. Was there any questions? I got a couple of changes that I had sent to Josh. Was there anything else?
No.
No?
I didn't catch, was there no public comment?
No public comment
Okay.
for the first.
Okay.
Okay, so no questions or comments on that. And then moving on to finance, we have payment of bills. We have the first one, the prepaid from January 10th in the amount of $12,751.24. Is there any questions or comments on those? Next, we have the check run from January 5th. The amount on that is $18,821.98. Any comments or questions on those?
Two questions on that. Under, this is on page 15 of the packet. Under unallocated, it has chart of accounts conversion with Stevenson and Company. I thought we had hired a new audit firm, plus we had a separate CPA firm in here for quite some time. I don't know why I don't know why we're using Stevenson and Company.
We did that when we brought it to the board, when we did all those changes. We had already started chart of accounts, and we would have had to start over, and it would have cost us roughly
So they started-
$5,000, yeah, to recreate. So this is finishing up everything. Me and Miss Klein and Miss McGuire just wrapped that up
Okay.
right around the holidays, so now we'll be submitting that and then be done with that.
So they're the ones that started it for us?
Yes.
Okay, all right, all right. On that same page, down under Department 754, Ken Ratliff Park, we have a bill for Oscoda Township Fire Department fuel. I don't understand why that would be under Ken Ratliff Park.
Isn't it, we had money in a fuel line there that we were using up for the end of the year? There was fuel allocated to Ken Ratliff. The fire department fund was out of fuel.
The fire department? At Ratliff Park.
No, there was, unless I put that in wrong. I thought there was fuel left in the fund line there, unless I put it in wrong.
I would think that fire department fuel would be under the fire department.
No, their line's empty.
I'm sorry?
Their line is empty for December. They were out of funds.
So then you just wanna, you can move the money in
Move
the
it into the
expenses.
fire
and-
fund.
Yeah, cause you want the expense to stay there in the fire department.
Gotcha.
So we
So yeah,
can
we're
fix
just
that.
using up where we had funds left.
We can make a journal entry and fix that, Bill.
Okay, it just, you know, we just went through approving the budget, and each fund has certain money allocated to it, and if we don't approve, you know, the appropriate money to the appropriate fund, then we're gonna end up at the end of the year with all kinds of adjustments and things that will have to be done. So, you know, it would seem to me the Oscoda Township Fire Department fuel should come under the Oscoda Township Fire Department. So, but we can make an adjustment on that, I guess. Okay, that was it, thank you.
Okay. Then we have the check run from December 29th. The amount on that is $15,980.25. Was there any questions on that? Hearing none. We have the check run from December 22nd, a little bit larger. That one's $181,951.65. Any comments or questions on that? All right, the next one is the check run from December 16th. The amount is $64,096.15. Anything on that one? All right, then F, we have fire insurance checking report. Any discussion there? Okay, then we have the CWSRF checking report. Actually, we have two of them for G and H. Anything there? And then December 2022 investment report.
I just would like to know a few things in that since it's the end of the year.
Okay.
So since we combined funds a couple years ago, we don't, with 236, there was two of our CDs that were in single funds only. So now those are part of our common checking account now. So it's kind of all together. They're not single funds anymore. The only other one is in the water fund that's a single account. Everything else that we have is common. And I just wanted to note too, just looking back from a couple years ago, from 2020, our investment portfolio holdings was $8.2 million, and then this December for 2022 is down to $6.1 million. So in some of those changes that have happened over the last couple years, we've moved money from investments to help with the water projects that we have going on, water and sewer projects that I know we've talked about it, and I know Tammy's had the board approve some of the fund moves, but those funds should get replaced this year back into the common account, and then move back to investments, hopefully.
Well, it's nice to see some of the rate of return are up in,
Yeah.
not just 0.2 or 3, they're
Yeah, or
3.5,
0.01.
2.1.
Yeah, I was very happy
4.0.
with the last one that I just got too, so I was,
Yes,
yeah,
it's much better.
super excited. I have a few more that are coming due that hopefully you'll be able to see a big change in those as well.
Okay. All right, then we have letter J. We have the cemetery revenue payment for 2022 to Oscoda Township. Do you want to add anything to that? No? Okay. And then last was the letter K that we added, which was the C2, R2, and that was handed out.
Yep, that was, Caterman was here at our last meeting last time, and I know had spoke to Tammy a couple different times, and we were waiting for the state to get us our money, and we were watching it every single day over the holidays, and we finally got it in the 29th, and I wrote the checks and we got them out. So, unfortunately, I didn't get it to Tammy in time to put it in the board packet, but, so I just added it.
Okay. All right, any questions on that information that Jamie handed out?
Just one question on that. Let me see if I can find this here. This, for Caterman, the 630,153 was the second pay request amount. First pay request amount was 298,980.
Yep,
I
so
believe that's what we paid out of our funds, right?
this is I also brought copies of what I was given for the first pay, for the second application.
Yeah, I have those.
You got it, okay.
Yeah.
So maybe turn it over to Tammy, she's got some update on that.
Yeah.
So our first pay request was, 298,000
Right.
some dollars. The first action item, on our third pay request, the second pay request was 631.53. And after, Jamie wrote the check and gave it to Cotterman, he called me immediately and said, this isn't right, and I called Jamie, and Jamie's like, hey, that's what's on the pay application. So what we found out was there was a miscalculation. Pay request number 1 and 2 were totaled together on pay request number 2. So pay request number 2 should actually have been less than 630,000. And pay request number 3 now needs to be revised due to that calculation. So that'll be upcoming next.
Right.
Oh, and you know what, I've been saying pay request 1, so I apologize for that, because it was pay request 2.
This- yeah.
This is
Yes.
number 2.
This is
Their
number
check
2.
was number
I was
2.
just 1, because it was the money we actually had in, so that's what I had in my head.
Pay request 1, we paid out of
We
our own
paid-
funds,
yeah.
right?
Yes, and we have to pay
So now we have
ourselves
to
back.
reimburse ourselves.
Yes.
Correct.
Did we get adequate funds to be able to do that?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
We're still working on some details with paying ourselves and making sure we don't double pay invoices to Row, because some of the invoices that were turned in go all the way back to 2021. There's also the 60,000 that we paid for the railway crossings in this reimbursement, and a bunch of other items, attorney fees, things like that. So it's process, and Rick and Row Engineering are working through the Row invoices to make sure that we get our money and they get their money.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Any more questions on that? All right, with all of that discussion and the suggested change for the fuel for the fire department, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move we approve the consent agenda with the changes.
Okay, is there support?
I'll support that. Spencer?
Okay, there's a motion by Ms. McGuire, support by Mr. Spencer to approve the consent agenda as discussed. Roll call, please.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Richards?
Yes, motion carried. All right, moving on the agenda, we have a project or subcommittee report from Todd. Todd?
Good evening, everybody. How's this?
That sounds
That's
good.
better.
Yep.
Very good.
All right, so welcome to 2023 and good evening again. The EIC's been pretty hard at work the last couple of months. I'll give you a couple of preliminary updates, but just know that next meeting on the 23rd, we'll have probably several things in front of you for votes and decision-making. We are kind of at the final stages of buttoning up a proposed facade grant for your review. I know that we set aside some money in the budget, and that's been blessed. But like I said, we're in the final stages of coming up with the actual documentation and the process and whatnot for your consideration. So that'll be coming hopefully on the 23rd. We've gotten a proposal from Place and Main Consultants. They're the folks who did our Play Sleep strategies back in 2019. And we've asked them to provide a proposal for what we'll call a refresh for the next 3 years. So I have that, and I'll be writing a narrative up for your meeting on the 23rd to accept that. I'm also going to ask the MEDC for maybe some technical assistance monies. So by the time I get to that and put that on the packet for the 23rd, I'll hopefully have a decision on whether or not they're supporting it and to what level. We've been talking about our ORV strategies and bringing ORVs into town and a possible crossing out at Old Orchard. So between myself and Rick, our township engineer, we've been kind of working the road commission and coordinated with Old Orchard and kind of coming up with a plan. I'll be presenting that to you on the 23rd as well. We are, I think, very close to the final stages of being able to put a purchase agreement / development agreement in front of the board for Brian Shelton's project out off of Perimeter Road. That's kind of gone back and forth, but I think we're in a pretty good place. I expect the attorney will have a version for us to review and provide to Brian this week. And so again, hope that that's something that comes to you on the 23rd for formal action. Other general updates, we're working on updating our guide to development under our RRC certification. We've got another round of the MEDC's Match on Main. In fact, we're holding a workshop tomorrow for the small businesses in the downtown area. I hope we get lots of participation so that we can get a grant going in that bucket for us. That's under that, the RRC umbrella. And the last bit of update, unfortunately, Ms. Heather Tate has resigned her position as our EIC alternate. I believe that's on the general updates and further back in the packet, but I make that note as an EIC update. So that's kind of the wild and exciting world of EIC right now.
Okay. Do you have any questions for Todd? I guess I have one. You said you're going to ask MEDC for possible RRC funds. Have we utilized any for becoming becoming certified? I mean, I know the old program, it used to be, I thought it was like up to 25,000. Have they changed that?
Not formally. I mean, it's kind of a by ask and by need, if you will. There isn't
Okay.
anywhere that you'll find in the handbook that says you get X amount because you're RRC.
Mm-hmm.
And we've gotten 2 technical assistance awards so far, but we haven't gone to them and asked for a specific amount of money for something that we've brought to them. So
Okay.
we,
Right, to help with the process. I
Right.
thought it was supposed to be to help with things.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things you could use that money for or make that request for.
Okay. Do we have
think-
any, because we're not sure how much that Place of Main refresh will be?
The proposal is for $15,000.
15? Okay. How much was the original proposal?
That predated me. I feel like it was 30, but that was before I
Okay.
was hired.
All right, I can check on that, thanks. All right, any other questions?
Wasn't there one just, like, at the end of last year that was 25,000?
That was the Match on Main grant program?
Match on Main.
Yeah, that's different than a technical assistance.
I know.
There,
but
yeah, okay.
That Match on Main is going to become like up again, right?
Correct,
So that'll be for 25,000 still?
correct.
Okay.
Todd, on your last agenda that I see in the little window thing that we have, it listed some of the grants that you applied for, some that you got, some that you didn't get. Is some of the ones that you didn't get, can you elaborate on that? Was it a point system, kind of like we do with the DNR trust, or how does that work? And
Well, some of them that are on my EIC packet are the CDBG Public Spaces Grant, and that's not necessarily an EIC or an RRC. That is through the MEDC. The other one was the Redevelopment and Placemaking Grant. In both cases, we pitched the beach, I believe. We've gotten 2 technical assistance grants, one for the storytelling, which is the tourism and Pure Michigan platform. The Optimize Main Street, 2 of our small businesses were awarded that. We didn't pursue the Hope Grant, that was through the county. We don't have any feedback as to why that was declined. And then the Missing Middle Grant Program, another one that we didn't necessarily pursue. So if you wanted more details on the CDBG and the redevelopment and placement grant, I could provide that on the 23rd, but I'm not prepared and I don't really have a lot of data to provide you tonight for that.
That's fine. I'd be interested. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, any other questions for Todd? All right, thank you for the update. Sorry, I gotta find my agenda. Okay, now moving on to the superintendent's report. We have first on is Oscoda Phase 3 Water Main Pay Request Number 3 revised, which is what you were alluding to a little earlier, I'm
Yes.
assuming.
Okay, your packet contains the 3rd pay request in the Phase 3 water main project in the amount of $275,413.50, leaving a total of $447,854.50 remaining on this project. Excuse me. This pay request was approved previously at the November 28th board meeting, but the application amount approved was calculated incorrectly. My conversation a month ago with Mr. Palmer, this, like I said, the first and second pay applications were combined on pay application number 2, overpaying approximately $275,000. So we now have the revised number 3 at the amount of $275,413.50. I'd ask that we reapprove this in the proper amount, leaving $447,854.50. It's been looked over several times.
Okay, any further discussion? So I'm sorry, what was I was focusing on the microphone, which I shouldn't have been doing. What is the amount that we're approving?
$275,413.50.
Okay, 275, 413.50.
And with approval of this, we will be able to submit our 2nd pay request for the C2R2 grant.
Okay. All right, is there any further discussion or a motion then?
I'll make a motion to approve the revised pay request number 3 to Caterman Trucking in the amount of $275,413.50 to be paid from C2R2 funds once they're in our account, which I believe they already are.
Support by Cummings.
Right, there's a motion by Mr. Palmer and support by Mr. Cummings to approve that revised pay request number 3. Roll call, please.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Ms. Richards?
Yes, motion carried. Next on is the Oscoda Pump Station Replacement Project Pay Application Number 12.
All right, your packet contains the 12th pay request in the pump station replacement project in the amount of $143,161.47, leaving a total of $147,621.33 remaining on this project. I would ask that the board consider approving the 12th pay request from RCL Construction in the amount of $143,161.47 to be paid from the CWSRF checking after reimbursement is requested and deposited into the township's account.
Okay, is there any questions on this one? Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the 12th pay request from RCL Construction in the amount of $143,161.47 to be paid from CWSRF checking after reimbursement is requested and deposited in the township's account.
Support.
All right, there's a motion by Mr. Sutton, support by Ms. McGuire to approve pay application number 12. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Ms. Richards?
Yes, motion carried. Moving on to Oscoda Pump Station Replacement Project, pay application number 13.
All right, your packet contains the 13th pay request in the pump station replacement project in the amount of $83,542.87, leaving a total of $182,988.46 remaining for this project. I would ask that the board consider approving the 13th pay request from RCL Construction in the amount of $83,542.87 to be paid from the CWSRF checking after reimbursement is requested and deposited into the township's account. Now, I would request that everybody take a look at change order number 9 and 10 that are in the packet between the pay application number 12 and 13. With those two amounts, change order 9 being an increase of $29,439 and an increase on change order number 10 in the amount of $89,471, equaling $118,910. That is the increase, which gives you the funny number of $182,988.46 remaining on pay application number 13. So there were two increases in the project between 12 and 13. And the pay request is for $83,000, which comes to, if you add that to the previous amount of remaining in 12 of $147,621.33, which comes out to $266,531.33. So when you take the $83,000 from that, that leaves your remainder of $182,988.46.
Okay, are there any questions?
So this is all being paid for with a grant, right? We're getting
Yes.
these. So when there was an increase in the price, did the grant just magically go up, or did we have to notify them? How did that work?
Well, these are bonds, the CWSRF. We have a certain amount up to, and they are sure to, when these are first created, they leave enough money in for changes, you know, things that come
Okay.
up.
Yeah, there's usually contingency money,
Yes.
like 25% is usually taxed on any project.
Cool.
So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
I guess I would make a motion to approve the pay request number 13 for RCL Construction in the amount of $83,542.87 to be paid from CWSRF checking after the reimbursement is requested and deposited in the township's account.
Support, Sutton.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Sutton to approve pay application number 13. Roll call, please.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Ms. Richards? No. Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. Richards?
Yes, motion carried.
I got one more question.
Nope.
Tammy, will Mr. Frumian be able to address the changes? Tell us what they were about?
Pardon me?
The
Will he
changes.
be able to give us an update on what
Yes.
the changes were? Okay.
That'll be in his report.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
All right, moving on to resolutions and ordinances. We have one resolution tonight. That's Resolution 2023-01, which is the designation of depositories.
So, I guess I'll speak to that. That is required to do each year, so it's basically a housekeeping item. Just notifies the township, and the township board approves what entities that we have our money in for the township.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Jamie?
Pretty much is the same this year as last.
Or is there a motion to approve?
I would make a motion to approve Resolution 202301, designation of depositories as presented.
Support, Spencer.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Sutton, support by Mr. Spencer to approve resolution 2023-01. Roll call, please.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. Richards?
Yes, motion carried. All right, moving on to other, we have a few seats that have opened up on some boards. Planning Commission is the first on the agenda. Basically, we had two positions that didn't technically resign, they just didn't re-seek reappointment, correct?
Correct.
So what's the word? I lost it. It went away. There you go. December 31st. So we were advised by our attorney to wait until after the first of the year to look to appoint. They were posted in the paper, those open positions.
And on the website.
And on the website by Nicole. We received 4 applications, one of which was actually, well, 2 of which were people that have applied before. I did have an opportunity to sit down with Nicole and Tammy last week to go over those 4 applications and discuss those. The first, I guess I would just remind everybody that Jacqueline McKenzie actually was an alternate on the Planning Commission, and we were advised by our attorney that we had to eliminate that alternate position because our bylaws did not support it. So we had to rescind her position, and she was very saddened by that because she was really looking forward to being on that board, and she did actually continue on with some education for that. During, I think, our last vacancy, we also had the application from Christine, and then we have 2 new ones, one from Tim O'Connor and the other one from Nancy House. So I had indicated to Jacqueline when we, had to rescind her alternate that when another position came up, we would definitely give her that position. So it would be my assumption that the first position would go to Jacqueline. But I guess at this time, I would like to make the recommendation that we approve Jacqueline McKenzie and Christine Beckner for the 2 open seats.
Probably do those in 2 separate.
Yep, we can
things
do them in
because
2 separate.
They're different terms.
Right, the first one, actually, there's two vacancies. For Jacqueline, I would like to do that for the 2-year term expiring on December 31st, 2025.
Actually, that will be a 3-year term.
I'm just reading the narrative from,
I spoke with Nicole this
Nicole.
morning
Okay.
because of this, and she erred on the 1-year and 2-year, but the ending dates are correct.
Okay.
2024. and
All right, well, then it's a
2025.
3-year term.
So there's a 2-year term and a 3-year term.
All right. Then I would like to make the motion that we appoint Jacqueline McKenzie for the 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2025.
Support.
Okay, there's a motion by Richards, support by Ms. McGuire. Roll call, please. Or I should say, any further discussion on that? Sorry. Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
No.
Ms. Richards?
Yes. Motion carried.
I'll make a motion to appoint Christine Beckner for the 2-year term expiring December 31st, 2024.
Support by Cummings.
Okay, there's a motion by Ms. McGuire, support by Mr. Cummings to appoint Christine Beckner for the 2-year term, the 1-year term, expiring December 31st, 2024.
Actually, it's 2.
That's a 2-year.
Oh, it's a 2-year. All right. So they're both incorrect.
Right.
It's just what's left over.
Gotcha. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Ms. Richards?
Yes. Motion carried. right, thank you to the other two people that applied as well. But again, it's nice to have more than less for a change. We do, next on the agenda, we have the Zoning Board of Appeals reappointment. So that is actually,
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Jeff Rush has had a term expiring on the 31st of 2022, and he would like to renew for another term. So I would make a motion that we approve Jeff's reappointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals for another year, and that term ending December 31st, 2024.
Actually,
That's a
2
2
years.
years.
Oh, that's 2 years. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna kill Nicole. Just kidding, sorry. It's not really a joke.
Support, Sutton.
All right, there's a motion by Ms. Richards, support by Mr. Sutton for a 2-year term for Mr. Rush. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Ms. Richards?
Yes, motion carried. We have a Board of Review resignation from John Servinski. So we will be posting that,
Yes, that will be posted.
okay? So if anybody is interested in being on the Board of Review, you're more than welcome to apply for that. If the other, we'll reach out to Tim O'Connor and Nancy House to see if they would be interested in that position. So we do have that resignation. And then, as Mr. Dickerson indicated a little earlier in our meeting, we do have a resignation to accept this evening from our Economic Improvement Committee alternate, and that is from Heather Tate. So with that, I make a motion to accept her resignation with regret.
Support, Spencer.
All right, there's a motion by Ms. Richards, support by Mr. Spencer to accept that resignation from Heather Tate. Roll call, please.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings? Yes.
Is this for Ms. Tate or for Mr. Savinsky?
Yeah, we gotta go back and do Mr. Servanski's.
Oh, man.
We skipped it.
We can do a motion on that one.
All right, we'll go back to that one later.
This
Or
is-
we'll go back to, this one is on
Heather Tate.
Heather Tate, yeah, sorry. I forgot the motion.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Richards?
Yes. Sorry. Too many, I'm getting confused. All right, so going back to accept Mr. Savinsky's resignation, and I don't have actually when his term ended, so we'll just make it effective.
12:31.
Yeah, I don't have that term either. You can
Okay.
have
I
it.
don't, yeah, it's not in the board packet.
No.
But I would like to say, though, I'd like to thank him for his over 20 years service with the township
I
of
was gonna
doing
say
the
that.
board review.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
Definitely, I've had a chance to work with him on several occasions and always appreciated his insight. He'll be missed.
Yes, yeah, thank you very much, John. So I made that motion, right?
Oh, you,
Did you
No.
support
I'll-
Spencer?
Yeah, I made the motion, we just don't have a date.
okay. All right.
All right, there's a motion by Ms. Richards, support by Mr. Spencer. Thanks, Jeremy. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Ms. Richards?
Yes. That was painful. Okay, so getting back to the Economic Improvement Committee alternate resignation, that will be posted as well. I believe the bylaws state that the supervisor is supposed to bring that recommendation. So if anybody is interested in becoming an alternate on the EIC board, please reach out to me. As indicated in the bylaws, it does state that the supervisor is supposed to do that, so. Moving on then to number 5, the auto dialer discussion placeholder. At our last meeting, I had indicated that we were having a 911 board meeting coming up. It was not an agenda item, but I did ask Mike Eller in regard to what was going on with the rave alerts. He said they are in the process of getting that installed. He felt on the high side, it would be 6 months. 3 to 6 months, but he said the high side would be 6. He thought it would be closer to 3 months that it would be up and running. So that's where that is.
So I guess the
The county.
discussion now is, do we feel like waiting for the county for 3 to 6 months, or do we just pay the money out of our pocket and start our own? I know that the citizens want it, but in the money crunch time, if the county's setting it up and they're gonna have it done in 6 months, they hope, I'm kind of thinking maybe we should wait.
Well, and it's, I mean, again, I think some people are going to sign up for it, so it'll be a helpful tool, but not everybody will sign up for it. So it's still kind of a, it's not gonna necessarily notify everybody to begin with, because you still have to approve being on that call list, correct?
Yes.
Right, so it's still not gonna be the end-all, be-all for getting the word out for certain notifications. So I think we still need to look back to what Jamie has indicated a couple times, and that's the alert with, I think you said BSNA?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can send messages out
Right.
with email.
Was there an additional fee for that? Did they have to turn that module on?
I don't think so.
We asked
I
about
didn't
that
think
in the
there
board
was either.
meeting. Did we ever get that answer?
I don't
You
think
asked
we did.
about that,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I-
don't think there was a fee. It was just, we just had to do it.
Yeah.
So it'd be,
It's data, just getting the data from the people. I mean, the same with, actually, I do ACH payments for water and sewer and for taxes. And I'm going to try to get, because I guess I could be the, what do you call it, the
guinea pig?
for that, but I want to reach out to my ACH people that get their taxes taken out, get their email addresses, because I always send a notice out to remind them that, hey, this is getting ready to come out, and instead of creating a bill and mailing it and sticking it in there, I can shoot them an email and all at the same time and go, hey, just a reminder, I'm taking this money out on the 14th of February.
Here's
So
the-
maybe by trying that this year, we can see how that goes and kind of grow into it, maybe.
I think it's a great idea. My other question is that how many email addresses can you assign to each object in the, or each, sorry, how many,
You were getting technical there.
yeah, I got technical, I'm sorry. So how many email addresses can each person have in the system? And the reason that I'm asking that is because the SMS platform will allow in most cases for you to send an email to a text.
Oh,
So if a person has a Hotmail account and they want the SMS, and you can have 2 email addresses on there, you just have to put on their phone number with the @ sign and then txt.att.net for AT&T.
right.
And we might be able to kind of close the gap a little bit if we can add multiple email addresses to those profiles.
Okay.
So just a question to maybe kick up
Right.
to BSNA and
I'll
ask
look
them.
right when I get to work tomorrow.
Because, right, with the BSNA, I mean, that would definitely link with utility billing. So then you would even
yeah.
be able to know, again, like Mr. Jolly has indicated, that when there's a shut off in a certain area, it only affects, I mean, that's the confusing
Absolutely.
part, is
Yeah,
it
'cause-
only affects in the villages of Oscoda or wherever that water main break is. So
Right.
then we could, hopefully we could pinpoint it a little bit better with.
Do you think that
It bills in sections.
Yeah,
so,
if
yeah.
it bills in
think
sections, I would
PME has
think you
looked at
could, but
that.
I don't know. I'm just asking.
The water department also, when they get new services, they also collect email addresses.
Mhm.
So,
All right, so we can get going on that and while we're waiting for the county to
Yes.
implement theirs, okay.
So do
All right.
you need a motion to contact BSNA and start setting this up and finding out all the details?
I
or-
don't think so, I mean, I think Tammy
We
understands,
already
yeah,
are,
we're,
yeah.
yeah.
They're-
Yep.
We're already their
Pretty much
customer.
there.
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
So are
There's
we
the
just gonna
motion.
do a, oh, you want a motion?
No, I said, let's do it, there's the motion.
Sport.
Okay.
And then I'll make a motion to remove the auto, or to postpone the auto dialer discussion for 6 months from today, to be put on the meeting
How about-
agenda.
Let's
You wanna go
let-
3?
Let's go the goal.
You gonna
at
go
least,
for- go
yeah,
for the
Mike-
hope?
Mike says like.
3
he
months,
thinks
I
for 3
move
months.
to
Okay.
postpone the auto dialer discussion for 3 months from today, and we'll see if the county has theirs set up yet, and we'll talk about it again.
So April.
So, I'm sorry?
It'd be April?
April, the
Is that
April,
April?
second April meeting. First April meeting. One of the meetings
that
in
one's
April.
been canceled.
Hmm?
We don't have
The
the
second.
first. We'll have to do it's the first, but it would normally be the second.
Okay.
One
So
meeting in
the
April.
Easter. We have
To the
Easter.
April
Easter.
meeting?
You know what I'm getting
To the, okay, to the April meeting, so, all right, so I will support that motion. Mr. Spencer made a motion, to postpone discussion for the auto dialer until our April meeting. And that was, the motion was by Mr. Spencer and support by Ms. Richards. All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Ms. Richards?
Yes, motion carried. And number 6 has been postponed, waiting for Mr. Westerberg.
Yes.
Okay. All right, we are through the agenda. Moving on to our second public comment section on the agenda. This public comment section can be about any topic. It doesn't have to be an agenda item. You are still limited to 4 minutes, and I usually go in sections. I'm going to start with the section over there. Oh,
There's
nobody.
nobody.
Just kidding. The middle section, if you would like to speak, raise your hand. Okay, come on down. Come on down, Kelly. You're the next contestant. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right.
I have this lovely wood gavel.
Only if your bid is closest to retail value.
Yes.
Well, I don't know about that. I actually have the numbers. No, from my previous emails I sent you. I just had a couple of different things. I wanted to find out from the financials, and I wasn't here early enough to do the public comment, but why are we still paying on the Awney Medical Center for cleaning services? I did send Josh an email today, but, you know, I know he's busy and we didn't get the packet until late on Friday and I didn't review it until today. So, does anyone have a response on that?
Yep, we're still waiting for the new owner to be certified, I guess.
As a vendor?
As a
Yes.
vendor by the,
Sigma.
yeah, to get paid. So we have to continue the service.
So we're under contract for those services? I see, okay. And it also had some water and sewer charges, although they were nominal. We're still obligated for that?
I believe for the same,
Yes, everything
for the,
VA.
everything for the VA.
And we still collect rent on that, under
Mhm.
the contract that pays for that.
Oh, nice.
yeah.
How much is that compared to what we're paying now? Are we in the positive? Or
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Does anyone know?
Yes.
Definitely a positive.
Definitely positive.
Oh, great.
Yep.
Well, that's wonderful.
Mhm.
The other thing I wanted to bring up, which it wasn't on the agenda, so it's appropriate for this time period, is Trustee Worsterbarth, which unfortunately is not here for me to ask him about it, but in November he had mentioned about wanting to have F&B here for every meeting and put a placeholder with regards to the water loss. So I did look back in some of the prior meeting minutes, and it looks like even if you took an average loss from the prior 2 years, which it appears that February is when they put out the water loss information. So is there any way to confirm, number one, that we will have the data at the meeting for February, and number two, that they'll be in attendance and going over it? Can that be confirmed and requested? Because I calculated from 2 years prior what they estimated the water loss at, and I even took out 10% for just miscellaneous, and it's $16,000 a month that taxpayers are footing the bill for water loss. At $200,000 annually, that's $16,000 a month. So I think we need to give it some attention, and I know the trustee, you know, a couple different trustees have asked for it, but it's still not on the agenda. And the taxpayers are footing $16,000 a month. So does anyone have any confirmation of when or how we're gonna address this?
I do.
Perfect.
I spoke with Ms. Nguyen today because I have been asking for the water loss report. She was completing it today, and I will have F&V present along with a very thorough, what Ms. Nguyen tells me is a very thorough water loss report, better than we've had in previous times.
Oh, that sounds
So,
great. So we contract with them, but we've had to keep asking them, correct? Is what you just said?
Yes. They've had
Nice.
a lot of turnover in that office recently.
I
so-
see. Okay. Third item, timing. When I brought up some issues and then forwarded some emails to everybody at the December regarding some situations I had with some FOIA information on expense reports, as well as some involvement in a committee, when can I expect a response? I initially discussed that on November 7th. So I know it was only brought to you guys at the December meeting, which obviously I had no control over, but I mean, it's been 60 days. When can I expect a response on that?
Well,
That will be something that has to be discussed with the board. And then
Okay,
what the
when can
board
we
chooses
expect
to
a
do.
response on that?
Probably the next meeting,
In February or the end of January?
the end of January.
Perfect. Last item, just wanted to make sure, Tim, did you get my email? And Jeremy, the email that I sent, you guys had mentioned about bringing some things about the website up to you, and I just wanted to make sure if you guys received it and if you had questions about it.
I don't, and that's the reason why I'm going to be bringing that up during my own board comments.
Oh, perfect, okay.
So, thank you.
Yeah, I just
We
wanted to
haven't
make
had a
sure.
meeting since then.
Yeah, the other thing is, Jeremy, I sent you an email in December on that website about that calendar thing, and I retested it again on a different computer to make sure it just wasn't my browser, and it does disappear when you click on the dates. So that
It
was the
does on
other thing,
mine
if you
too.
guys can look into those two things. They weren't big things, I mean, you can still find data, but I was looking for the code of ethics, and I couldn't find it, so I had to get it from Josh, and he said he couldn't find it in the documents either. So I just think there's a better way that people can access information. Thanks,
Yes.
everyone, Happy New Year.
Oh,
You
wait,
too.
thank you. Does the timer not go off anymore?
No, I guess not. I wasn't watching, I was watching her.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. I guess not.
I noticed we didn't have a ding bell. So
Yeah.
I'll watch it for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
It's another new system for a new year.
Okay, all right, thanks. All right, anybody else in the middle section? No? Far right-hand side, we have two. Well, whichever one wants to go first. Clayton just pointed it to you, so I guess you're first, Bob.
Oh, it usually beeps, sorry about that.
Good evening, everybody.
Hello?
Quicker starting time, so maybe we'll get out of here quicker, right?
Yeah?
So I just wanted to bring up that this is a new year. As a planning commission member, I have been appointed over the last number of years as being the education guy for the planning commission. So I just wanted to remind everybody that it is a new year and the 6 hours of mandatory training begins again. It's very important for us board members, all board members, to get that training. There's some very good trainings that are coming up. I'll speak on the Michigan Association of Planners training coming up. There's one training in particular that I would highly recommend we take, and it is called Making Good Decisions Together. This training is going on in Frankenmuth on March the 16th. It's from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And what it's about is boards working together. And this is a new training being offered by the Michigan Association of Planners. And I think it would be very helpful for our community if we took courses like that. I plan on taking it. One of the things the Planning Commission does is we try to bring training here. So I do plan on taking that course. And I will find out what it costs to bring courses like that here. They've been successful in the past. We've actually been able to put a little bit of money back into our coffers for these training sessions. So that's just something that I wanted to bring up, the training that's coming up, and let's all get some good training this year. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Clayton?
Good evening. I'm back. I just had witnessed a good example of a request I made last year. And that was for this board to increase the amount of time that people who have comments or questions have time to express their question or explain what their issue is. I wonder if you've taken any steps or considered increasing that 4 minutes to the 6 minutes that I requested back last year. Don't look stunned. Have you done anything? Have you just let it go after you told me what the deal was, as it were? Or have you given it some thought and seen there may be some wisdom to doing so.
I mean, I'll respond with, I think that we have 2 public comment sections on the agenda, which is more than a lot of communities do. And again, if there's some nights where we have a ton of comments, that could run very, very long. I think 4 minutes.
It's also a
Yeah.
fairness issue because the
Yep.
maximum amount of time that we can have public comment is 1 hour.
Right.
And so if we increase it to 6 minutes, then that decreases the number of citizens that can have a say. So me personally, I didn't bring it up anymore because I think that 4 minutes is sufficient.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the last? No? Okay. So that wraps up our public comment section for this evening. Moving on to board comments. No specific direction, but
Sure.
okay.
All right.
No specific direction, but if you'd like to start, Tim.
Yeah, I
Okay.
didn't feel the look, so. Well, first of all, I apologize for being late for the meeting. I neglected to update all of my reminders that I've had everywhere for 6 years now. So apologies, I won't be late for the next meeting. I wanted to start by asking a question to Tammy if you had heard feedback from the attorney regarding social media yet.
No, I have not.
Okay, cool. And I also wanted to know if anybody else on the board has been receiving feedback from the public regarding generally the usability of the website, trying to find things on our Oscoda Township website. One was, of course, mentioned this evening here by Kelly about the code of ethics. I think and so it's that plus, also the list of properties that we have for sale, a link to the EIC webpage. I mean, I was wondering, is there anybody else hearing these things, or are people just sending them to me?
I hear on occasion.
Okay.
But most of the time there's not much I can really say that can really change it.
Nope.
Because the amount of clicks it takes to get to certain information, I mean, you're gonna have to be able to click on different menu structures. You're gonna have
Sure.
to be able to navigate
Sure.
through it, and most of the things that I've been hearing have been, well, it wasn't on the front page, or I couldn't get it within 1 click.
Right.
And I appreciate that, but we can't just have,
Yep.
a web page that takes 20 minutes to scroll to the bottom, because that's just as disheartening as trying to click a couple times, so.
Which is actually what we used to have, to be honest. But, because it was trying to be a web page for everybody, for anything and everything. I was wondering if there was a conversation in a prior board meeting, I believe it was November or December, and we were talking about the usability of the website, and I wondered, are we still interacting with the website developer?
Yes, we are.
And so when we do, is it in the context of whether or not the changes that we've made are actually made correctly, or the way they want to see them made, so that we still maintain website efficiency, or how is that? How are we?
So Melinda is, my assistant, is currently the main person on the website. I do it if she's gone.
Yep.
But anything that needs to be done and we aren't sure about, there's
Right.
always a ticket put in.
So we can call them.
To the website. And they're actually very good at what they do. So I find them very helpful.
No, that's good. Yeah, definitely no slam against them intended here. I'm just trying to figure out how to get, I guess what I'm trying to do is draw a circle around an incident, sort of some type of problem. If it's a lack of content, that's not the web developer's issue. That's something we didn't ask for, or we didn't make it easy to find, or something along those lines. But yeah, I'm just trying to figure out if we really are having a broad usability issue, or we're just having a couple of isolated problems.
There is one thing that I have seen that needs to be improved, and that's the location of documents.
Okay.
It seems to be, I don't know, sometimes it's hard to find
Yeah.
things. So I think we could work on maybe trying to figure out an easier way for resolutions to be found, because that's where the ethics is that's in a resolution.
Right.
And things like that. I think there needs to maybe be a phone call again about the document drop.
Did we ever, sorry to interrupt your
That's fine.
comments, did we ever make a decision on the documents on demand as opposed to the file storage that the new host was offering?
They're slowly coming in. It's turning out to be a very large process. There's a lot of documents there that go all the way back, some to 2010.
Well, one of the when I was talking to some previous board members, one of the reasons that they put that we went with the documents on demand is because it made those documents searchable.
Right.
Which was a huge benefit to those that were looking for specific things when, I remember that the document said this, but I just can't remember where it's at. And when they were looking in documents on demand, they could search for it.
Yes, I like that better myself, but
Me too.
that's just me.
Yeah.
But people don't like to use that. That's a huge complaint. People don't like to use the
They don't like the
documents on
documents on
demand
demand.
because there's a lot there. I
Yeah.
mean, but I found it easy because you just can type in a keyword and
Correct.
it brings up everything that pertains to that.
So what are people asking you to be able to search by? What is their use case?
Well, I haven't had anybody ask me personally,
Okay,
but I've heard it in the hallway. They go to the clerk's office usually,
sure,
saying, I can't find this, I'm looking for this.
right,
And I looked on the website, I can't find it there. And Josh is usually real good at, if it's something he has.
sure.
But I think even for me, as someone who is always having to do research, it would be nicer to be able to find those a lot easier. Because you can put them there and then not be able to find them afterwards. So
Hmm.
I think it would be in our best interest to look into trying to make that process easier.
So the number of
Okay.
clicks to find something and the placement of documents for ease of access are the two biggest complaints that I'm getting as well.
So are you both maybe making a suggestion that we have a subcommittee in regard to website refresh or something? I mean, weren't you on the original committee or?
I can actually,
Yeah.
getting together with Jeremy's quite effective. He has.
Really?
Yeah, he's mouthy.
Jeez.
He's pretty mouthy, and I mean, he knows exactly what he's asking for.
Okay.
Of the technical,
Yeah.
or Tim, whichever. Tim was in when
That's
we went in for the website RFPs, so.
Yep.
Either one or both, doesn't matter.
No, I felt like when you get one question, it's one thing, but when you get several of them and it starts to add up, it's like, okay, well, it's definitely more of a problem, and I wanted to just address that and ask, what was happening anywhere. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are we gonna then resurrect that conversation, or that little, I don't know if it's subcommittee is the correct term, but,
Well, I mean, I don't think, I know you're getting some stuff lately, but I don't
Yeah.
think we've had a lot of rave reviews besides the look, the pictures on, I mean, I think we've had complaints in regard to how to find things from the very beginning.
Right.
So I guess we need to look back at,
yeah, so that's why I'm
Yeah.
wondering, are we resurrecting this subcommittee, or
If you two wanna just,
or are we doing something more informal?
informal would work with me. It's harder when I have a set amount of people that have to be there
Right.
sometimes.
That's a fair point. So, that's fine. So, okay, then do you and I want to work with Tammy on that? Okay, good. So then, thank you. All right, so Ann, so then Jeremy and I'll work with Tammy on this question.
okay, all
That's
right.
So, thank you.
Yep. Did you have anything, Jeremy, besides what you added there?
Happy New Year, Oscoda.
Okay. Josh?
Happy New Year.
All right. Mr. Palmer?
Well, Happy New Year, everyone, as well. I would just like to mention, I think I mentioned this at the last meeting, but I have brought up the issue of water loss in the township for quite a few years, even on the prior board. It's a huge problem here because of the consistency of the soil being sand. You can have a leak and not know it for a long time. One of the things that we've discovered is that having the meters in the house if there's a leak in the line between the road and the house, nobody's gonna know about it. So what we're in the process of doing is, with all the new construction, is putting the meter pits at the road, so that if there's a leak, the bills will reflect that, the people will come to the township and let us know there's a problem. As I mentioned at one of the previous meetings, there was a case where there was a leak. People said they'd seen the water for 3 weeks. Ms. Wynn said she thought it was much longer than that, but it was a 3/8 inch hole. It's a pretty small hole in the water line, but it lost 575,000 gallons of water. There was another instance of personal friends of mine that called me and said, you know, my water pressure seems to be low, and I don't know what it is. I said, well, go to the township, talk to the water department, and maybe they'll have somebody come out and take a look at it. The next day, the water department came out. It was the same thing, a tiny, about a 5/8 of an inch hole in the water line between the road and the house. And nobody knows how long that had been, because they were just noticing that there seemed to be their water pressure going down slightly. So that could have been going on for months and months. Those are the kind of problems that, when we're trying to locate these water losses, is a almost impossible task. I won't say it's impossible, but I think once we relocate meter pits to the road where they should have been in the first place, that will alert everybody that there's a water loss problem, because people will see it in their bills and will come to the township right away to get that cleared up. The way it is now with the pit, if the leak is between the house and the road, the water just flows. And I don't think we can expect our engineering company to go out and, I don't know how they would go about going around the entire township, monitoring all the water lines coming from the road to the house to try and detect a water flow that shouldn't be. So it's something that we've been working on, and I've been concerned about it for years, and I think we're making some progress in the direction by changing the meter pit situation to help us be aware of these leaks quicker, so that our water losses are caught quicker and reduced. That's all I can say about that, but I think we're working on it, and hopefully we'll make some progress once we can get meter pits.
Great, be interested to see what Ms. Wynn's going to be bringing to our meeting next month. Maybe she could actually, instead of just presenting the material at the board meeting, get it to us ahead of time. I'm assuming the report would be ready prior to the packet being put together, so at least the board can take a look at what she is presenting, maybe.
Right, and we're just now getting requested fire numbers too, because I don't think previously those have been included on the water loss reports.
Oh, okay.
So every time a hydrant's used,
Right.
Those numbers will be calculated in as well, because that's not accounted for.
Right. Okay.
So
All right, thank you.
that'll be helpful.
No board comment this time.
No? Okay. All right. I did have a couple things. I guess, first of all, Happy New Year. I did not go to the beach for the first ball drop. I saw some pictures, but it looked pretty cool, and a lot of people. So it's great to have something like that happening in the community. I'm not going to read the full obituary, but I believe it's appropriate to read part of it. Joe Maxwell passed away. He has been an integral, I believe, part of this community for a very long time. And I'm just going to read a little excerpt, but Joe was born October 19th, 1942, and he did pass away December 30th of 2022. He basically opened Kathy's Hallmark in the downtown Oscoda in 1982. He was just recently celebrated 40 years of business at that location. So he served the community in a variety of ways. His involvement in Rotary, specifically with the student exchange program, and involvement in the development of the Pocket Park were many special interests to him. He served on the Oscoda Sable Chamber Board, performing many roles, including president, where he received the Citizen of Year Award in 1994. He was a member and chair of the DDA committee, where he was instrumental in the rehabilitation and renovation of the Huron Shores Artisan Hall. He was most recently involved in the RAB committee, and he spent time serving on the Oscoda Historical Society. So again, I did want to acknowledge Joe's passing. He actually doesn't identify it here, but I know there used to be a sidewalk and parking lot committee way back when that he sat on. He devoted a lot of his personal time to our downtown and to the community as a whole. So I did want to acknowledge his passing. So and my condolences to the family. But
Yeah.
and again, thank you. I just completely went blank on your name, Kelly. I apologize. Thank you again for continuing to keep us on task on some of the things that we're looking into. Sometimes, I know some of the things you asked about in November, we did then go on holiday, and I mean, Tammy was off for a couple weeks, so we haven't engaged as much as we normally would during those couple weeks. So we will be getting back to you. And I'm sorry, Clayton, that you do not agree with the 4 minutes. I mean, obviously, some of us spend a little bit more than 4 minutes talking here sometimes, and so I do understand where you're coming from. But as Mr. Spencer indicated, we do have a total amount of time we can allocate to public comment. And if we did just let kind of everybody go on a free-for-all, then maybe not everybody would be able to speak. So hopefully 4 minutes, if you want to speak on something, you can kind of condense your thought process and get your point across, or come back at the next meeting. So again, sorry. And looks like we're making some. Okay, that's fine. I like to agree respectfully, or disagree and agree with people respectfully, so I appreciate that. Okay.
Happy New Year to all of you also.
Right, and again, thank you to, we started at 6:30 tonight. I think that wasn't a slam at you at all, Tim, sorry about that. But we started at 6:30. I feel like, we're getting out of here at a little bit 7:46. I know it was a short agenda, but still, I think it was a good choice. So thank you very much to everybody. And with that, I will make a motion to adjourn at 7:46.